Hi. Because of time constraints, the introduction is in the video comment. Well, as we open ZynAddSubFX, we see the main window, which contains some global parameters like effects, volume, panning, and others. Also, from here, we can access the virtual keyboard by clicking on the VK button. Now, the real magic happens when we click on the Edit Instrument button. ZynAddSubFX is a collection of three kinds of synthesizers: an additive synthesizer, a subtractive synthesizer, and a pad synthesizer. We're going to focus on the additive synthesizer. In the Add Synth main window, we find all the common modules and parameters of a regular additive synthesizer, like amplitude, filter, and frequency modules, and all the parameters we can tweak for each one of them: envelopes and LFOs. Unlike the synth used in the course demonstration, ZynAddSubFX has more parameters in both the envelopes and LFOs, like envelope stretch, LFO stretch, LFO amplitude and frequency randomness, and many others. In ZynAddSubFX, we have up to 8 voices. We access the list of voices by clicking on the Show Voice list. A voice is the name given to a single oscillator and the effects applied to it. So we can use and benefit from 1 to 8 oscillators. After activating the oscillators we need, we go to the Oscillator Parameters windows by clicking on Show Voice Parameters. In this window, we can enable or disable the common modules on a synthesizer, plus some advanced stuff like AM and FM, frequency and amplitude modulation. We can access the different voices by clicking the 2 arrows in the bottom left corner of the window. By default, every new oscillator will have a sine waveform, but clicking on the Change button, we are presented with a window that allows us to manipulate the waveform in very awesome and professional ways. We can start by selecting a preset waveform like triangle, pulse. A square waveform is a type of pulse wave, sawtooth, and many others, and we can easily change the shape of the wave by rotating the knob. With this knob, we can have, for example, a rising sawtooth waveform or a decreasing sawtooth, and any place in between. Notice that in the top of the window we can see a graphical representation of the wave in the spectrogram. But this is not all. Using the many faders we find in the lower half of the screen, we can change very tiny portions of the waveform and make it as we like. This is very hard to understand, and as beginners on synthesis, we won't use it, but it's good to know we have that option to experiment and come up with unusual and sophisticated sounds. One of the cool things about ZynAddSubFX is that you can apply envelopes and LFOs to each individual oscillator, and then you can modify the sound even more with the global envelopes and LFOs. After configuring all the oscillators, we then configure the global parameters. As we said before, we have here the common parameters and some more that affect the 3 main modules of a synthesizer: the amplitude, filter, and frequency modules. Well, now let's talk about envelopes. The normal parameters can be modified by knobs, like attack, decay, sustain, release, and stretch. Now, something beautiful. By clicking on the E button, we're shown a window representing graphically those parameters, and as we change the knobs, we see the graphic changing. This way is better to understand what we're doing. And now the amazing thing comes. If we click on the free mode button, we can change the position of each point individually. Plus, we can even add more points. This gives us the ultimate control of the behavior of the envelopes. Great, isn't it? And after closing the window, we can manipulate those points from the main window. Pretty awesome. And we can do this with every envelope you find. Now for the LFOs, you can choose the waveforms: sine, triangle, square, so more. The frequency, the depth, the start phase, the delay. Apart from the additive synthesizer, we have a subtractive synthesizer. And a pad synthesizer. I'm not familiar with those, but the more the better, right? Well, these were just the basics of sound manipulation with ZynAddSubFX. This synthesizer has a plethora of options to help us get the sound we're after. All these features in a free and open source piece of software is mind-blowing. It's simply beautiful. Because of technical difficulties, I wasn't able to produce sound while recording my desktop, but I encourage you to try it for yourself. Experiment, have fun creating your own sounds. Yeah, I hope this guide was very helpful and has somehow made it a bit easier to delve into the world of synthesis. Thank you very much for watching.